Okay, I declare the meeting open and welcome you to the special meeting of Council. The recording of this Council meeting will be available to the public on Council's website for a minimum period of 6 months. In accordance with Council policy, I will now ask Council staff to confirm that the recording has commenced. Yes, it has. Thanks, Sandy. I'd first of all like to acknowledge that we meet today on the land of the Malacca people, the traditional custodians of this land. Our Aboriginal people have a deep spiritual connection to country and have cared for our waterways and our land for over 40,000 years in Tasmania. We pay respects to their customs, elders past, present and emerging. I would like to welcome members of the gallery that are here today, and also a special welcome to our new councillor, Councillor Sue Clark. Welcome to your first council meeting. And we'll now hand over to the General Manager before we start official proceedings, who has something to say as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, Mayor. In relation to Councillor Clark, as this is her first meeting attending as the councillor, I wish to advise the council that I have received a certificate of election from the Electoral Commissioner dated the 28th of June 2021, declaring Sue Clark elected to fill the vacant officer of council to serve until the next ordinary election of the council. Councillor Clark has made the declaration of office to me on the 29th of June as required under Section 321 of the Local Government Act 1993. I will formally table the certificate of election and the declaration of office for acknowledgement at the July ordinary meeting. Thank you, Mayor. Thank
you very much, General Manager. So we have item 1 on the agenda, attendance. Welcoming today Councillor Gibson, Councillor Campbell, Councillor Prince, Councillor Lovell, Councillor O'May and Councillor Clark that are here in person. And we also have Deputy Mayor Sally Doyle and also Councillor McNewell that are attending this meeting via teleconference today. Thank you. We have, and if the General Manager could just introduce the staff that are here today, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and through you, Mayor. We have Matthew Grimsey with me today, Director of Legal and Governance Services. I have my Executive Assistant, Sandy Rustle, taking the minutes. And we also have Michael and Tracy doing the video streaming, with Tracy on a learner place tonight.
Excellent, thank you. So for item 2, non-attendance, we have no apologies, no leave of absence and no one absent. Item 3, are there any councillors that wish to declare an interest for this report item this evening? I'm hearing silence, so that's all very good. And we will move on. So the report that we are considering this evening is the General Manager's Recruitment Panel Report, agenda number 15.017/21. I ask councillors to refer to the motion that is at the back of this report and also consider that there is an attachment to this report as well, attachment A, which was circulated for councillors a couple of days ago to read the content. So without further ado, do I have a councillor to move a motion? Yes, Councillor Lovell. Do I have a seconder at all for the recommendation? Yes, Councillor Prince. So I'll just write that down there.
Can I move an amendment? Is that you're moving the recommendation?
We're moving the recommendation that's actually within the report at the moment. And so you wanted to move an amendment to the report, do you? Okay, all right. Yes. So we need to have the approval of the mover and the... Yeah, okay, certainly, all right. If the mover, the advice is that the mover of the recommendation, first of all, to speak, and then we'll get a seconder.
Sorry,
yeah, so you move the recommendation?
Yes.
Would you like to speak to... Sorry, I'm getting a bit confused here. Yes, Andrew?
Through you, Madam Mayor, there's a motion being moved and seconded.
Correct.
On the matter. The normal course would be that the mover will speak to the motion before you would consider any amendments.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Right. I was on the right path then. Yes. So, Councillor Lovell, would you like to speak first?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to say that I'm in support of the recommendation that's before us. I believe that our Mayor and our Deputy Mayor should automatically go on this panel for the reasons stated in the report. I think it explains it pretty well, and I know there's another circumstance where this has also been put forward for exactly the same reasons why the Deputy Mayor should be on this panel. So, yeah, I'm happy with the recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So we'll just open up to the floor for comment. Pardon? Yep, okay. Yes, councillors, any comment on that matter before we go to a vote?
Through you, Mayor.
Okay, certainly.
I've moved
All right,
an amendment.
Sure. All right, thank you. Okay. So if you would like to speak to your amendment, please.
Thank you.
That's what I've asked for to speak on the amendment. Yeah. And do you have a seconder to speak on that? Yes, Councillor Campbell.
I would like to move the amendment of Part B of the recommendation as per 15017/21 of the report, of the recommendation. And Part B, I would like to state that the new General Manager recruitment panel is established consisting of the Mayor and 3 councillors to undertake the recruitment process and process the roles and functions as set out in Attachment A of this report. And so it's so moved.
All right, lovely. Would you, now that we have a seconder, would you like to speak to that motion?
If I may?
Yes.
Thank you. I understand that in the Act it states that the Mayor is to lead the panel, and I also understand that the Deputy Mayor is not automatically included in the panel, and that the election of the panel members is entirely a matter for the Council. I believe that all councillors should be given an equal opportunity to nominate for one of the 3 remaining positions on the panel. I personally do not know what qualifications each council member has, and therefore I do find it difficult for me to place my vote. However, since I has talked to a few people, I have now some information. Thank you very much for those that have given me that. There may be councillors present who are unaware of my qualifications and past experience if I nominate for the panel, and that is obviously due to the fact that I'm new to the council and to the council table. However, if permitted, I'm happy to speak to that if I'm requested to do so. This decision will most likely be one of the most important decisions that this council will make for the next few years.
Sorry, Councillor Clark, is there a way of muting this? I do apologise for that interference. Please continue.
This decision will most likely be one of the most important decisions that this council will make for the next few years, and council needs to make sure, for the sake of transparency, that we robustly and collectively make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you. So, discussion? Pardon? Yeah, okay. So any speakers for the amendment?
Just the
yes.
proposer and seconder have to.
Normally they have in the past. We've normally, procedural matter. Normally when it's been, the recommendation's been moved, we've normally had the mover and the seconder to actually agree for that discussion to continue regarding the amendment. Sorry. That's why there's some confusion at the table, because, yeah. Yeah.
Through you, Mayor, you've got a situation there where you're now debating the amendment, the amended motion, so it's just a normal debate now along the normal debate rules.
All right, thank you. All right, so those that wish to debate the amended motion, please. Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to speak in favour of the amendment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working towards and looking forward to a very open and collaborative and communicative relationship between the panel and the councillors. I think that it was really clear from the last meeting that councillors wanted this process of the mayor plus 3 councillors and wanted to vote on that, and that's the whole purpose of this meeting. So even though I didn't stipulate that, I think the audio recording is pretty clear on that. I think that the analysis in the risk of not having the deputy mayor on there is not a logical argument. If the mayor keeps the deputy mayor informed, as they do all the time on the general council matters, then or if the mayor steps aside, the deputy mayor will be very well prepared to take up the reins there. And not only that, you'll have 3 councillors who are totally across all of the issues, so you end up with better consistency rather than less, and continuity and less interruption. So I support that motion basically on that basis, and I do feel that to come back to a special meeting with the same proposition that we moved a special meeting to resolve is, I think it's a bit frustrating, really.
Thank you for your comments. Councillor Campbell, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. My reasons for wanting to second this is, I suppose it goes back to where I felt from the initial recruitment panel that the deputy mayor is generally automatically, by default, goes in as in place of the mayor. So for me, it's actually not very logical in terms of, putting the mayor in there, the deputy mayor, because that position would, I imagine, go automatically delegated to her. And I think because the deputy mayor, does have a close relationship with the mayor for obvious reasons, I think it's important that we could be left in the same position where we end up with only three members on the panel again. And I actually think that there's a risk in that. So I suppose if you come back to the risk for me is more having the deputy mayor elected. It's not a personal thing about the deputy mayor, but it's the position that she will take in terms of her role as the acting mayor when that's necessary. So that's my logic for voting for this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Yes, Councillor Prince.
I have some questions, if I may, Mayor.
Certainly.
Through you, Mayor. If you are absent, just to clarify, who would assume the role or your position on this panel?
If I was absent, then the deputy mayor is...
Well,
would
automatic.
be, yeah.
Thank you. So my second question then, so is the deputy mayor allowed to nominate for this panel?
Yes.
Okay, so just to clarify, so then if the deputy mayor gets elected as well as yourself, if you are absent, the panel drops down to 3 members. Is that correct, Mayor?
That is correct.
Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments from the floor? Yes, Councillor May. Then we'll go to the telephones.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just reflecting on the amendment here and the wording in the discussion on the amendment. Firstly, I'd like to welcome Councillor Clark to the group, but what I'd like to put before you, Councillor Clark, is as you've suggested, if you're going to throw your name into the hat, I think for the benefit of the people and the benefit of the people that don't know you, that we do have an explanation of your expertise. So, yeah, if you could expand on that, if I may. Sorry to put you on a position there, but yeah, I'd really like to hear your expertise for the benefit of the people, if I may. Thank you.
Sorry. Oh, okay. All right. Perhaps if Councillor Clark could leave that to when you have your closing remarks. Yeah? Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So now we go to the phones. I'll ask Councillor Newell whether he has any comments first. Thank you.
My only comments is to, I am all for the amended motion that we should have 3 elected councillors. I think it's up to the councillors democratically to vote for this. And if we democratically vote for the Deputy Mayor to be on the panel, well, so be it. But if not, please don't take anything personal. I think we'll all vote for our own reasons. My vote will go to the people that I think are most experienced to make the decision and the best decision for the ratepayers of the Huon Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Newell. Councillor Doyle, do you have any comments?
Yes, through you, Mayor. I suppose for Councillor Clark's benefit, most people do know what I have done, and I suppose Councillor Clark would have as well. But having been in business for 36 years, we've employed multiple workers, especially when the NBN was on, and we've employed 14 permanent staff. And in this process, I conducted interviews, inductions, implemented our workplace health and safety system. During my time as a director on the newly formed GDH Co, Geeson Town Hall Company, in 2014, I was involved in full set of all staff, full setup, and all its systems. I'm also a director on the board of the Huon Valley Financial Services. So, Ian, I feel confident that I have the skills, the experience to add to the General Manager's review panel, which I was on when I was acting Mayor. And I know that there was councillors that thought that they weren't being involved, but they were. I had Councillor Newell and Councillor Wilson with me on that panel, and the only thing we done was, after this hearing conversation that we, with I think it was Christy Scott, we got some...
Just half a minute more, that's all that's left.
Yep, we employed Red Giant after going out to others to find a director. So, yeah, anyway,
right.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. And look, as the chair, I am mindful that there will be other people that will nominate for this committee. And now that we've started down the journey of Councillor Clark to list her experience, and Councillor Doyle has decided to use that as well. I just want to, if you can be patient with us, please, Councillor Clark, because it has opened up that door, I suppose. If there are any councillors that are nominating to be on this panel tonight, if you would like to actually state your experience, now that the community has been hearing from 2 councillors, I want to give you that opportunity as well. So there it is. It's open. If there's any other councillors nominating for the panel, could you have an opportunity to talk about your experience? Would anybody like to do that? Councillor Campbell, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been involved in businesses for a long time, and those businesses have given me the opportunity of hiring both contractors and employees. I've probably been in business now for 40 years, and the role of recruiting people is one that I've become very familiar with. One of the things that I feel I can contribute is the fact that when I had my, when I did my degree in psychology and sociology, and I had to conduct a lot of interviews. I had one of my studies required an understanding of good communication and reading body language, and in actual fact, I think that can often be overlooked in interviews because people might present on paper very well, but body language can tell an awful lot as well, and I feel I'm sort of fairly highly skilled in that area. I've also been on the Student Appeals Panel at Sydney University with deans of each respective disciplines, and we had to interview students and hear their appeals and considered whether they were eligible to continue their degrees. So that was a very collaborative process, and also understanding what it meant to sit on a panel and work out the best way forward. And I think I have got that personality to collaborate well. I'm also on the, I'm a chair of the Arts and Culture Committee, and I feel most things that I involve myself with are really about listening and hearing other people's points of view. And I really do like the collaboration process with each person, because that to me is how it should be. And I think as elected members, that's one thing I would like to see us all do around the table, because I think that's where we often get our best results. So I just thank you for the opportunity of putting forward my position. Thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak that might be nominating? Okay, all right. Yes, Councillor Huon.
Well, I suppose if everyone else has, I better too.
Yes, please do.
Okay, well, up until 9 years ago, I've been self-employed most of my life. I started my employment history at a service station in Hobart, which was owned by my father, that I leased off him for 10 years. In that 10 years, my wife and I hired multiple people. Moved on to working for myself as an abalone diver on a lease basis, where I hired multiple people throughout my time. I did a large property development in the Huon Valley, where I did the process from go to woe, hiring contractors, builder to do the majority of the work, but all the small contractors I had to hire myself, and oversaw that project. That was $1.5 million project. I ran Cruisers Salvage for 8 years, where we had 6 permanent employees. And I've been a past member of the Tasmanian Abalone Council for 19 years. Also served as president of the Divers Sub-Council for a period of 18 months. I was advisor to Brian Green when he was Minister for Fisheries on diving matters, and also have served on a couple of boards in that time as well.
Thank you.
And,
sorry.
That'll do. That'll do.
Thanks for your contribution. Thank you for that.
No problems.
All right. Okay, so I think I've heard from everybody that wants to speak. Yes, okay. All right. Just before we go to Councillor Clark to have her final discussion, comment, should I say. So tonight I focused my attention around the concerns raised at the June meeting relating to this matter, and I have settled on the following advice. I specifically support the officer advice for numbers 15, 16, 17 and 18 of the report. I support the CEO of Legat's comments, number 32, that he is supportive of the reasoning provided by the officer that wrote the initial report. And yes, I am aware that the CEO did also indicate that the membership of the panel is entirely a matter for the council. I've considered section 65 of the Local Government Act 1993, where the responsibility of the General Manager must ensure that any advice, information or recommendation given to the Council or a Council Committee is given by a person who has the qualifications or experience necessary to give such advice, information and recommendation. And Councillor Gibson, this is why you would have seen the same advice once again in this report, because it is consistent with the first report and the first lot of advice, and that's why it hasn't changed. I have also read the closed agenda and attachments for the closed meeting held in March for the related reports, and have no concerns regarding the officer's advice within. And a lot of focus has been placed on why the Deputy Mayor had been recommended by the officer. So I did some of my own due diligence. I contacted Lord Mayor Anna Reynolds just to discuss the appointment of their recruitment panel and learned the following: that the recruitment committee comprised of the Lord Mayor, the Deputy Lord Mayor, and nominations were sought at the council meeting for 2 other elected members, and this was decided by a ballot at the meeting, similar to what's being recommended. Well, it's the same to what's being recommended, really, tonight. And the rationale for the Deputy Lord Mayor being on the recruitment committee was that it was in line with some other council CEO recruitment policy processes that they reviewed under the Act, and it is the Lord Mayor's role, of course, to lead and participate in the appointment of a General Manager. So if necessary, the Deputy Lord Mayor, as Acting Lord Mayor, could have satisfied that requirement. Once again, I reiterate that it's my opinion that the advice councillors received is sound, and that is also consistent with the feedback from Legat and with some other councils in Tasmania, including the capital city. So, over to you, Councillor Clark, for closing remarks, please.
Thank you. Through the chair. Yes, I totally agree with what the Mayor's saying, and just I would like it noted that the Deputy Mayor here has every opportunity, the same as everybody else, to stand and be voted onto that panel. So I just want to advise my past experience and qualifications. I have a diploma in business management. I'm a licensed real estate agent, and a real estate agent involves gaining qualifications in government legislation, planning and land use, consumer law, business law, as well as contract law. I am a member of the Real Estate Institute of Tasmania, a member of the Property Agents Board, and I have a certificate in risk management, and I'm a qualified training provider. Prior to starting in real estate over 35 years ago, I was involved in a family business, in a hardware business, and I was an administrator of that. I decided to get into real estate and soon became a manager of Robert's Real Estate office opposite here. They had an office here in Huonville, and I was a manager for 5 years. I studied my diploma during that time, and then I built my own company. I started from scratch, and I ended up having 5 offices, 4 of them in the Huon Valley, 1 in Dover, 1 in Huonville, 1 in Geeveston, and another in Cygnet. And I opened an office in Kingston as well. During those years, I employed and trained a great number of employees, and I've scrutinised and overseen hundreds of applications. Finally, I'd like to say that when I was last on council, 20 odd years ago, I was on the executive committee with Mayor Norris and Deputy Mayor Armstrong, where we were responsible for the General Manager's review, and the GM at the time was Jeff Cockrell. And with all of that, I feel that I do have experience that would benefit the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. All right, so I'll now put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. This is the amended, yes, definitely. This is the amended motion. This is the amended motion, so where paragraph B is changed. That's what we're voting on. Okay. So I'll put the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. I'll get to those on the phone in a moment. So Councillor Gibson, Councillor O'May, Councillor Clark, Councillor Campbell, and to the phones, Councillor Newell, you are voting?
Yes.
So that's 5 in favour. And those... Sorry? He was in favour? Yes, I'm about to get to Councillor Doyle, thank you. And those against, Councillor Doyle, you're voting?
Against.
Against, all right. So that's Councillor Campbell against. Those against, raise your hand. That's Mayor Enders, Councillor Prince and Councillor Lovell. So that is, it's carried. The motion is carried, thank you. With that amendment. So yep, so that amendment of B now becomes the motion and the recommendation. So now we go through to the voting process. And
You don't expect the motion.
We have to move the motion now.
No, the motion's already.
The motion's already moved.
No, it was an amendment.
Sorry. Yeah, that's okay, that's all right. So the motion that's still open is the one with that Councillor Lovell moved and was seconded With the amendment. Sorry, this is a bit of a different practice to what we've done before, and that's why there's some confusion.
Through you, Mayor, I was of the understanding that when the amendment's voted on, the amendment becomes the motion and then
Yes.
you vote on the motion.
Yes, yeah.
And that's what we're doing?
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay? All right. Okay. So any discussion on the motion?
Which motion we voted, discussing the Councillor Bird's motion, was it, Mayor?
Yes, please do.
Through you, Mayor, what you've done, you've had a motion on the books. You started debating the motion.
That's right.
You've now had an amendment on the books. You debated the amendment. The amendment was won. The amendment now becomes the motion, and now you're back to the motion and debating the motion, which includes the amendment. So now the motion is with the amendment in it, and you're back to the normal discussion on debate on the motion.
It is a bit different to how we've done it before. Okay. So any comment? Any comments made? No. Okay, they're all understood. All right. So we're now voting for the vote for the motion again. So those four. So those four.
Oh.
The amended motion.
With the amended motion, it's still got the paragraph B in it. That's
Yeah.
changed. That is the motion. That is the motion. Exactly. So Councillor Gibson, Councillor O'May, Councillor Clark, Councillor Campbell, Councillor Newell, did you understand all of that? That we're now going through a second vote, but it does contain the changes that Councillor Clark put forward in B,
Yes.
because that is now the motion.
Yes, and I am for the amended
All right,
motion.
lovely. Thank you very much. I just wanted to confirm that you understood that. Okay, so that's 4. So that's Councillor Newell, so that's 5 councillors. And those against is Councillor Enders, Councillor Prince, Councillor Lovell, and how are you voting, Councillor Doyle?
Against the motion.
Against the motion, okay, so that's 4, so that's carried. All right, I do apologise for all the procedural confusion, but that was handled a bit different to what we normally do. Okay, so we now go looking for nominations for the panel. So I'll go to the phones this time, first of all. Councillor Doyle, are you nominating for the panel?
Yes, Mayor.
Right, thank you. Councillor Newell, are you voting for the panel?
Yes, I am, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor
Mayor.
Campbell?
Yes, Mayor.
Councillor Campbell is. Councillor Lovell?
Yes, Mayor.
Councillor Lovell is. Councillor Clark, yeah, you are. Councillor O'May, are you?
No, Mayor.
You're not nominating. Councillor Prince,
No, Mayor.
you're not. Councillor Gibson,
No, ma'am.
you're not either. Okay, all right.
Just give me a moment.
Yeah. All right, we'll just sort the ballot papers out now. Thank you, everybody. And just for those viewing, the ballot system has already been arranged for those that are telephoning in, and they will coordinate directly with the Director of Governance.
So voting is 3 for the most favoured candidate, 2 for the next favoured, 1 for the next favoured. 3 for the most favoured, 2 for the next favoured, 1 for the next.
Matt, would you have a spare pen?
Just receiving the electronic. Screen. I can announce the outcome of the ballot now, Mayor. Councillor Doyle, 11 votes. Councillor Newell, 12 votes. Councillor Campbell, 15 votes. Councillor Lovell, 6 votes. And Councillor Clark, 10 votes. That would have Councillors Doyle, Newell and Campbell elected.
Thank you very much. All right, so the announcement's been done. Congratulations to those that are on the panel, and I know that we'll be working very closely as per attachment B that was in the closed meeting report about updating councillors in closed council meetings every step of the way so that you have a full briefing and reports from Red Giant included in that process. And we now draw the meeting to a close at what time? 5:38. 5:38. Thank you very much, gallery. You're able to go. Thank you.